you could tell me a little bit about yourself, just a quick short story before I get into a couple of questions that I have written down here, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'm Sunil Madhavan, basically an Indian. Okay. I'm having experience of around 19 years, that in different aspects of supply chain like procurement, supply planning, warehousing, logistics coordination, and all. Lastly, I was working in a company named Only Solutions as Senior Procurement Officer. Prior to that, also, I was in the procurement industry itself, around 12 years, that in different companies. Okay. And my initial career was in a company named Algazar Logistics as a logistics officer. My academic qualifications are MBA in Logistics and Supply Chain Management, bachelor's degree in economics, and postgraduate diploma in computer applications. This is my total career introduction.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. So was there like a specific role or company that really like stood out the most and kind of shaped how you think about this field?
And that concerning that two companies have, they have given me a big boost. Not only two, three companies. Firstly, the Algazar Logistics, where my job was more warehouse and logistics oriented. There I got the basic, all the necessary inputs regarding the warehouse coordination, warehouse movement, logistics coordination, and all. And in another company named Al-Dahra, there also I got numerous, experiences related with the warehousing coordination, inventory management, and the procurement aspects. And in Gibson's also. Gibson's, I would rate that one of the best experience in my career because they were doing the perfectly all the warehouse inventory movement and inventory management in a perfect systematic way. From my point of view, rest all companies were doing quite good, but not up to the mark, which I do believe, because Gibson's was a company which were having completely systematically done all the inventory management process, even the procurement planning, all were integrated to the system. All the companies were having a different, they will be either having a procurement module in the system based, or either in the warehouse module they will be having in the system based. That's the difference which I had. That happens in the Middle East, but quite naturally.
Okay, that's interesting that you mentioned that. Okay, cool. And which one of these companies, I guess, or the couple that stood out, which one gave you like the most headaches? You would say, based on how everything was running in the place.
Look, there was quite challenges in all this throughout my career because somehow the warehouse will not be supporting fully because they will be doing the manual, the warehouse receipt notes and the delivery notes, all things will be done manually. Then later on, it will be pulled into the system. So it will take little time frame. So considering for the procurement point of view, it was quite tough for that. But almost I have personally, I have done my best to integrate all these things into the system itself. So it wasn't that much problematic, but in a way, it had some challenges. That, of course, happens because when it's considering the human management, there will be some slight errors will be happening. But I think in my career, in Gibson's, it was quite professionally handled because they had the most effective supply chain management system, which was developed through a ERP, and it was well organized. From my career point of view, I would say rate Gibson's as the best.
Nice. That's actually glad to hear because usually people have some sort of like frictions with their work and they could easily highlight something. But that's nice that you can't even think of those type of situations. So everything was managed properly. That's good. So the management was good, essentially. Right on. Let's talk about your last position. So in the procurement to warehouse reality, let's call it that. Can you walk me through the operation? How did you handle it? What kind of systems they used? What do you think could have been improved? But let's start with the basic of, like your day to day, like what did it look like and where you saw those gaps that you think some kind of solution could fill, or maybe it's just the simplicity of doing something a little bit different.
Okay, most of the I have noticed over here the warehousing management systems. There are two ways. One is fully electronically done through the ERP, like using the barcode RFID devices and barcode scanners and all.
Mm-hmm.
Is a, we can say the inventory accuracy will be more. There is another way of doing by manually preparing the GRN and manually issuing the delivery note. Later on, it will be issued through the system by the day or by the any time of the day. So in both systems are working, which I have noticed in my experience, but I do prefer the electronical way. So lastly, I was working in a company where it was done manually, but it was going in a good way, because once a goods arrives, they will prepare the goods receipt note. The stocks will be allocated. If there is any damage, the damaged goods will be allocated separately. This is how it was done. And when the goods are issued from the warehouse, there will be a delivery note will be issued. Based on that, it will be removed from the system. So that's a manual way it was done over there, but it was also going efficiently. But considering the high flow of the cargo, the manual things will not work smoothly, which I have noticed. But in a fast-paced environment, the electronical way of using with the barcode scanners and using the RFID devices will work more accuracy, and it will give the more speed to the process.
Okay. That's really good. That's very well positioned. Yeah, I've noticed it too. It's it depends on the volume and the size of the business at that point. But at one point, it's just there's no way to keep track of everything manually. It just becomes a lot of mismatches and stuff like that start to occur. Okay, cool. How like you mentioned on the documentation as part of your background as well. In a GCC context, especially, that layer can get pretty complex, with any kind of like GRNs, like all the other documents. So what does that look like in practice? So like customs, import docs, supplier compliance, because you had those experiences, right?
Yeah. If you are importing any product into UAE, if it's a food product, you should require commercial invoice, packing list, country of origin certificate, and health certificate or phytosanitary certificate based on the product. And if the product is new to UAE, it should be registered in, if it's coming to Dubai, it should be registered to Dubai Municipality. Or if it's a medicinal category, it should be registered in the respective ministry. Like there is a Ministry of Health and Environment, such all ministries are there. So this has to be registered, and the product should comply to the GCC standards. Like UAE and Saudi is having a specific standards, which is somewhat related to, we can say, according to a US FDA, similar type of registration process itself is there. So all things should be there. If it's a meat, it should have halal certification. That's very important. Meat and meat products. And if it's plastic related, for example, we can say plastic or PP products, it's also should be under the regulatory of the UAE municipality. So that's quite important. And all the shipping documents, if it's well aligned, then we require to prepare a bill of entry, which will be prepared through online over here, and it will be passed through the Dubai customs, and the import procedures will be done normally. That's how all the importing process is done for a food products. If it's in the case of machinery and all, it can be done just using only invoice, packing list, and commercial country of origin certificate and bill of entry processing. It can be done very easily.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's really in depth. You really know exactly how those things happen. I'm more in the warehouse kind of and not in procurement type of thing. So more in automation. So that was interesting for me. Okay. So let's dig a little bit deeper into some of the issues maybe that you've run into. I would specify like what would you say is a problem in supply chain and procurement that you've seen consistently across companies? So something everyone knows is there, but nobody actually solves it. What's that? The recurring pattern.
Actually, I can say normally from countries like US and all, while we are importing fresh produce like berries and fruits and all, sometimes there will be mismatch in the packing list and in the actual quantity. That happens. Because what happens is, in case of fresh produce, in order to fully load the container or particular shipment, the supplier will do some adjustments in the quantity, which may be different from actually what we have agreed. Really. So that happens frequently, not only from US, from different parts of the world, I have noticed. So what we does is that if there is a mismatch, of course, there will be the documentation discrepancy will be there. And we will inform sometimes it will be notified only at the arrival in the warehouse. So warehouse parties will inform us. So we will align according to the renewed packing list. We will ask for all the documents from the supplier and it will be adjusted accordingly. That's normally what I've seen.
I see. And why do you think that keeps happening, like across multiple companies? Just because they're lacking like specific, like I wouldn't even say like software, but specific mechanics to let the supplier know that right away? Because I would assume you would spend some time on that as well, right? Because you have to physically go and notify the supplier that happened, right?
Normally, it's happening in fresh produce items. What I've noticed is that they are also sourcing it from different farms, actually. So the agreed quantity which the farms will not be able to sometime fulfill. So that happens. So they will adjust it with another items. That happens. For example, strawberries and all. It's very, easily perishable.
Right.
Depends on the climatic conditions also. That's how I've noticed. For example, in case of meats, I have noticed sometimes it happens. Some cuts we will be having more demand locally also. So they will give a little proportion to the local market. Then they will give to the exporting country. So that also happens. That I have noticed. So in that case, we have to adjust it. That's only the option we have.
Right.
We will inform the supplier and we will tell them to not to happen it again. But it happens in supply chain industry because it's not 100% accurate way, which I've noticed. In certain finished products like factory produced items, we can say 100% we can guarantee. But still, there will be some damages happening in the packing and all because it goes to different persons through different processes. Sometimes the ordering place will be different, the loading place will be different. So it all happens.
Yeah, mistakes happen. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Now, if you could tell me like a specific time when across all the companies, across all your experiences, just something that is more highlighted in your mind when something went like seriously wrong. So like a supplier failure, or maybe like a stock situation, shipment that went missing, something like that. If you had encountered that.
Lastly, when I was in Admirals, I had an issue due to the Red Sea. In the Red Sea, there was some blockade done by some regional guys. I think Houthis or I don't know, Somali pirates. So at that time, the shipment got delayed. It got stuck up. Somewhere in Africa, the container was stuck up, and when the product came over here, it was near expiry. The product was just only having a shelf life of around 15 days and all.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So in that case and all, even supplier has to bear some cost, and as a client we have to bear some cost, and we were not able to sell it. We have to dispose that products. These all socio-political issues happens nowadays. Due to the Middle East scenario, it happens. I think nowadays the containers are also not coming that much. Some clearance are done through Oman port and all. So this all thing happens in supply chain.
Right. That's fair. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on that affect the whole supply chain, essentially. Different times, with the social political things going on for sure. Okay, cool. Now, wanted to ask you in regards to in procurement and inventory, like about data. So when you have that bad data going on, like wrong quantities, incorrect system records, maybe outdated stock levels. Based on your experience, what does that actually cost? Not just in money, but maybe in time that is spent. And that's how I'd phrase it.
Normally, there should be a frequent inventory counting to be done. This happens every quarterly and every half yearly and every yearly. Depends on the company basis, because in a company, sometimes inventory will be happening in a quarterly basis or half yearly basis. Right. So that's how we can only rectify the things. Based on shipment base, all the inventories will be correct, but somehow the guys who will be handling the shipments, they'll be like issuing it, wrong shipments might go wrong, things might happen. This all happens because it's all handled by humans. So such all things will happen. So we can reduce it only and rectify the process, correct the team, giving them the correct instructions and training. That's how only it can be done.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I would add that giving them a proper guidance, usually with all the AI and all the technologies that we have right now, I feel like the time that is spent on counting the inventory, on correcting the discrepancies, I think with the proper solution, it is possible to cut down those times. Because I've seen.
Because what I've noticed is that sometimes when a particular product, if they change the packaging color, the warehouse guys will not be able to rectify it.
Exactly.
Some guys will rectify it based on the color of the packaging. For example, we all know that Coca-Cola, it will be having a different color. That's how certain products packaging is also does matters in that case.
Yeah.
So we have to train the warehouse guys that this is a new packaging and we have to educate them. That's only the way we can make improvisation.
Yeah, so provide the proper training. That's probably the biggest thing that I'm getting out of this so far. Okay. We did talk about this. So I wanted to go in regards to like a specific moment maybe where specifically in your role there was a bad situation where you lost a deal, maybe a conversation with leadership where you said we can't keep doing this. Did you have any of those kind of moments in any kind of jobs that you had before?
Yeah, I had some same situations related with the warehouse management, because most of the companies, they don't care that much into the warehousing section, like towards having a proper inventory management systems and all. So I had similar situations. I don't want to specify the companies.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but I had such situations. But only the thing is that we have to adapt according to the situation. That's only the possible way we can do it. Because here I have noticed in the back-end process, no one cares that much. Everyone looks into the front-end process only.
Yeah.
Actually, procurement, supply chain, to be frank, supply chain is the core part of any company.
Absolutely.
But it's a back-end process, but everyone consider it will work in a normal way. But it requires good system, good people, right way of training and all. But the company which invests more in that will get a better result. Which invest less will having only less results.
Very well said. I completely agree with you. Yeah, a lot of companies spend more time on, as you mentioned, on the front end of things, and what's in the back end, they just feel like it's just happening automatically. But it's people that are constantly adjusting, constantly doing these things to make everything smoother, essentially. So yeah, completely agree with you on that. Now, what did I want to ask here? On getting like things changed, like let's say you found something that needs to be changed, and then you have to go talk to different parts of the company, different teams. Who you would say is usually the hardest to convince when you want to change any kind of system or process? Is it like for example, financial side, the warehouse team, maybe like the management? And how would you make that case? Like how would you go about it to actually get them to change?
What I've noticed is that mostly in every company, the finance is the companies which will disagree to every changes in the supply chain management.
Yeah.
For them, everything is a money aspect. They will look at only from the money aspect way. So it's a hard part to convince the finance team, because they only look into incoming of the fund flow between in and out. So they will say that this is not required, this is not required. But along with the management, we'll have a discussion. So after the discussion, they will finally agree. Because mostly in the case, what I've noticed in the procurement aspect also, sometimes a delay in the payment due to some holidays or some bank problems, bank issues, it will affect the vendor relation, especially in procurement. So at that time, finance will say they will give a lot of justifications like, look, this vendor need to be added in the system. The their recipient bank in the country is not complying with our standards. Such all small issues are normally happens, which I have noticed. But
Mm-hmm.
in a way, the procurement guys will always support the suppliers because that's a prime target. Because in order to keep good supplier relations, so it will be having a good discussion with the finance team and the management. Based on that, it will be done.
Fair enough. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Those are usually the ones that create the most friction in any kind of business, to be honest. So yeah. All right, cool. Now, if with everything we talked about, if you could go back to like an earlier point in your career and give yourself, like kind of advice about driving change, specifically in supply chain operations, what would be, what would it be? What would be like the most highlight that you would give yourself?
I would say that every management should. I think this is we already covered this topic earlier in my chat.
Yeah.
The management should agree every aspects of the supply chain, like warehousing, logistic, planning, procurement, even
Okay.
finance. These are core parts of any organization, any trading or manufacturing, whichever organization. Each section should be, handled in a proper way by the management. If it's not handled properly, the entire management structure will collapse. That I have noticed.
Okay. That's very, yeah.
Any of these aspects, like if it's warehousing, if it's planning, if it's procurement, if it's the sales data not getting on time to the planning and procurement, this all will affect the entire supply chain, which will make a great collapse, and it will be only realized only in the later on stage. Actually, supply chain is a backbone.
Right. That's very interesting that you said that. Yeah, okay. That's really good. I like that. The way you explained it was very, very nice. Okay. Now, if you were to starting fresh, like let's say not going back in time, but like if you were just to start fresh, your own business and whatever, what does the ideal procurement to warehouse operation would look like? What's like non-negotiable?
Non-negotiable means the flow, which normally from the procurement side, as per the PO, the PO mentioned quantity, all the value, the accuracy of the items which is coming. This all will be noticed from PO to the conversion to the GRN, then GRN to the warehousing, receiving. These all are quite important from that flow, from procurement side itself.
Got it. What about like, any kind of system? So like WMS, ERP systems, maybe something specifically on the warehouse floor.
Okay, there is, from my point of view, I have worked with Navision and SAP HANA, SAP Ariba, Facts.
Nice.
It's a customized application. There is JD Edwards, there is Oracle, that's it. So whichever the system, if it's implemented according to the organization's input, then only it can be successful. I have noticed certain companies which is having SAP HANA, but it's not working efficiently because it was not customized properly. Every ERP should be customized according to the organization. Then only it can work. Because an ERP is what we give the input, but it has to be handled proper by the persons who are using it. It starts from sales data to planning to procurement to logistics, then to warehousing. This is a flow. It should be, customized in a proper way. If it's customized in a proper way, it can work efficiently. If it's not customized and it's done just a basic implementation, I don't think it will work properly. But in numerous organizations, I have seen that certain parts like planning will be working properly, procurement will not be working properly, but warehousing will be working properly. That happens.
Oh, I see. So it's just basically like one of the things, like in the best case scenario, I guess what I'm hearing is that the ERP would be set up, but not in all the areas of the flow.
Yeah,
right?
in all the modules, it will not be customized properly because, the implementation and the customization of any ERP course. So most of the managements will just do the simple minimal adjustments considering the financial aspects.
I see. Exactly. Yeah, because the implementation costs and stuff. They want to, again, going back to the finances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you for that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Based on my experience, what I've seen is that most of the systems are like out of the box is usually does not work in a big supply chain business. Does not work at all. But if we're talking about like bigger systems, when they're implemented, it's very important for I would say for the management and for all the teams in the perfect world, for all the teams to know how the system should run. But then at the very least, that the management has some sort of an idea as to how everything should be running when they're getting the like for example ERP guys to come in and set it all up. Because most of the times that I've noticed is that they have some sort of an idea, but then again, like the warehousing team, the management does not agree with what the leadership is saying, and then the finances has their own thing because they're obviously they care only for the accounting, and then now it becomes like a big system that's being built from these blocks that are actually not really working together very, very nicely. So I've seen that a lot as well, and it's pretty interesting actually.
I would say that total quality management system should be implemented in the first stage in any organization.
That's the first stage, you would say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So each and every role will be defined very correctly. Whatever there will be some obstructions in certain process and certain departments that it should be integrated. If it's not integrated, like finance, operations, sales, procurement, planning, warehousing, logistics, if it's not implemented properly under a management system, we can run the organization, but it will not get a better result. The staffs who will be working will be suffering more.
Yeah, that's true. And then you have to rotate the people, and then now it becomes a never-ending kind of cycle. Yeah. Got it. That was very, very insightful. Very good. Now, have a couple more questions, and we're pretty much good, I think. What's actually like, do you think is changing in procurement and supply chain right now? Like, not like like as we all know, obviously, like the buzzwords, like AI, it's just going to do everything for us. But what would you say is the real shift that people in this field need to pay attention to, like nowadays?
Nowadays, they have to look into the market current trends, what is going on, how the things can be implemented, how it can be done fastly, efficiently, and accurately. These all things has to be focused. Now, more, especially considering the e-commerce also. Nowadays, every business is having a e-commerce department. So considering that, it should be done more efficiently and accurately. And I think most of the e-commerce companies here are doing it in a good way, like Noon, Kita, and all.
Yeah, in Dubai, they're pretty good with specifically in e-commerce, but a lot of I've seen in Europe, a lot of them is not the best. They're still kind of struggling with getting everything set up. Like their systems are disconnected, so something is done. Some automation is there, but then a lot of things are still being done manually, like on Excel sheets, which obviously you can't keep up with the Excel sheets forever. So
Excel sheets are all we can say it's a manual data.
Yeah,
the other person's input can really make the data correct. So I don't prefer it actually, but most of the world it's used.
Yes, a lot of people still use it actually. If you are aware of that, but there's a lot of companies that I see that are pretty big companies and they still use Excel, just because they can't find a proper. Well, in my field specifically, I see a lot of them using it for inventory management because they can't find a proper system, whether that's, it does not connect to their like SAP S/4HANA, for example, or maybe it's something else. There's a lot of different.
Actually, a lot of new companies are providing customized ERP packages. Comparing to SAP or even Oracle, a lot of companies are providing solutions, supply chain management solutions, but most of the people are not aware about it. That's what I do believe, because SAP or even Oracle, they have a structure.
Yeah,
it's like it's a structured base, so we cannot change too much. But if it's a customized ERP, we can do any changes, and that can be done. And most of the companies are doing it also, I believe.
That's interesting you mentioned that. And have you seen a couple of companies that go and get like a full custom ERP done just for them?
Yes, yeah. I know here some companies like Facts, they are based here in Dubai. They are doing a very good customization for each and every department, for even procurement, planning, warehousing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have
That's interesting.
noticed certain such ERPs. They can do it. They can do the fully customization. But in case of SAP or an Oracle, there is a limitations for it.
Yes, you have to go by the way it works. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. But for those guys in Dubai, do they have their own system that they created? Do you know? It's like their own platform, or is it something that they like? For example, they just go with Odoo. I'm sure you've heard of Odoo. It's pretty good, and they just customize that.
It's not based on Odoo. We can say they are using certain replica of like SAP and Navision, combining them into their idea, and they are building a new module by themselves, which is
I
working well.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. I need to look that up. That sounds pretty cool. Okay. Perfect. So cover that. On the Excel, just I guess quickly, since we did touch it briefly. If like for example, if you had a friend or a colleague that that is working in the same field that you are, so like for example, operations manager, and you knew that they were still running everything on Excel, what would you like honestly tell them? Like, you need to change like right now, or maybe something else?
My point of view, I will never prefer Excel for inventory management.
Uh-huh.
My point of view, I'll never prefer, because it's it can be corrupted by anybody. The data can
Yes.
be manipulated. That's a main issue, and the person who is not handling is not that much skilled. It also will affect. A minor mistake can make the entire sheet collapse. But
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend always ERPs in that case, because the data will be there, data backup also will be there. So if the operations guy who is approaching me is telling that Excel is the best way, I would simply say it's no.
That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah, it has to be synced up, and you actually covered like a very important part there, is that the data that can be corrupted. It's not just about like you can essentially keep all the data in Excel realistically, but yeah, that anybody can just access it. Like there's no there's no any kind of measures to keep people from corrupting the data. It's very important, because and then, as you know, in procurement and in supply, the whole supply chain, as soon as you have corrupt data or something is incorrect, that's it. Like you're basically done. You have to go back so many steps and spend a lot of time on fixing those mistakes, essentially. So yeah. Now, what's one thing you know now about supply chain and procurement that you genuinely wish someone had told you earlier in your career?
That's a strange question.
Well, basically something. Let me rephrase it. Yeah. So basically, if when you started your career and you had like a mentor, and now based on all the experience that you have up to this point, what would you tell yourself back in the day, and just saying like, okay, you should do this and not do that, because it just would have made your life much easier. Hopefully that kind of cleared it up a little bit.
Basically, I would say that whatever the management says to you, whether it's any part of supply chain, if it can be done from your side fully, you have to say yes. Otherwise, you have to say a partial no.
Okay, that's very
But
nice.
most of the persons don't say it. They will say simply yes, we can do it. But if it's not known by you, for example, I would say that I'm not a fully planning guy. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody says to me that you have to do the complete planning for an entire SKU of more than 2,000, it will not be easy for me, because I'm basically a procurement guy. I can do certain planning based on the data which is provided on the planning. That's
Yeah.
a thing which we have to say. Simply, we have to say no in certain cases.
Yeah, exactly. Just understanding where you got to think for yourself essentially as well too. Yeah, completely agree with you. Okay. Yeah, just last question that I have, and I think It's a good one to end on. Again, so if you brought yourself back in time early in your career, so before the systems, before the digital tools, when things were done mostly manual, what did you think about automation back then?
At the time, mostly the automation was not that much effectively because I started my career in 2004. At that time, there was no
Yeah.
fully automation. There was
Exactly.
all things were just simple integration is only happening in software as well.
Yep.
Later on, according to the each and every year passed on and the knowledge gained in the supply chain industry, the integration happened. So in that case, I would say that at that time, whatever the knowledge we had, consider it as the best.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were certain limitations. So at the time, it was only like that. Whatever we know, we consider it as the best. Certain external knowledges which we will get, we will just integrate into the system. It's just keep on adding because life itself is a learning process. So we are just learning from each and every situation, each and every year, according to a new company. Whatever the informations we are getting, we are just learning, which I do believe.
Mm-hmm. That's very, very well said. I completely agree with you. Yeah, it's just kind of like a building block that you go through, and then and back in the day, it's like we all thought any kind of technology, like we could be very easily amazed by, like, if something gets scanned, you're like, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, completely agree. All right. Basically, yeah, that was really good. Before I let you go, is there anything we didn't cover that you think is worth saying, like from your side, from based on your experience? Maybe you wanted to mention something.
I think we have covered almost every aspects of the supply chain, like mostly warehousing, procurement, planning, and all. We have covered almost, to my knowledge.
Okay.
If anything according to you, you can.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, sounds good. So I think we are good. Kirill, I'm not sure. Are you here? Perfect. Yeah. So just for the recording there, I'm gonna say bye.
Bye.
That's it.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was
And
a nice experience for me also.